Are we ready?
We're ready.
It sounds like it. Go fishing. All right, we're going to call the administrative review meeting to order on the date of May 19th, 2023. April, thank you. Yeah, let's slow things down a little bit. I have reviewed the minutes for the March 29th, 2023 meeting, and those stand approved. We have two items on the agenda. The first one is consideration and action on a request for approval of the Howard Industrial Park Subdivision consisting of 7 manufactured lots. And Mr. Lleverino, you're going to be presenting this.
Yes, thank you. And the reason why I'm calling it manufactured lot, well, it's out in the M3 zone. And this property in particular, it's right off of 900 South Street, which is a county public right of way. And what they're looking to do is create a little industrial park out there with just 7 lots. And we're kind of looking over the proposal to make sure it meets the zoning requirements and other requirements that the county's placed on there. We put together a report kind of laying out just some of the general information about this area and the proposal. And there's been several discussions, several iterations over the past several months as far as like how many lots and how the road should be designed and whether it's public or private. And I think ultimately what the county has landed on is it's probably a good location for a private road at this time, which is why engineering is on board with it becoming a private road. And so the engineering has posted some basic design requirements as far as how the private road should be designed. Okay. And the applicant's been able to show how that it's going to meet those design requirements that we've stated. And also looking at let's see here, also looking at right-of-way opportunities for like connections to neighboring properties. And in this particular instance, it's a little bit difficult to connect either east or west because of to the east there's an RC airplane landing strip.
Oh, that's right.
And so not a lot of opportunity directly to the east, but as far as something, and then you also have almost like a drainage canal that runs through it, and that poses some complexities as well. And so yeah, we did look at the connections also to the west, and there's what the plan entails is having a cul-de-sac road, a permanently terminal street that would provide access to this 7-lot development.
Are you doing Lilac Estates?
Yes.
This is the one.
Come on in.
Oh, hi.
You want to sit down here?
Oh yeah. Sure.
This is the fly on the wall.
And so, yeah, just running through the next thing is access by private road. There's a code section that does allow for the engineer to accept the creation of a private road. And in this particular instance, being that it is a terminal street and planned to be permanently terminal, and engineer felt like it was a good option for this location. The culinary and secondary water will be provided by Western Basin Water District, and the sanitary sewer system is provided by the Little Mountain Sewer, and the applicant has provided letters for those. And so moving on to staff's recommendation, which is staff recommends final approval of Howard Industrial with the conditions stated in the report with 6 conditions. And that kind of concludes what I had to say in questions.
Yeah, I just looked through here and I don't see any comments from engineering. I mean, like have they granted final approval on this?
No, not on this most recent plan. What they've done is they've given some comments on prior designs, but I mean, part of it, one of the conditions in the report actually mentions that the Howard Industrial Park Subdivision plat and civil plans are approved by the county engineering department. And so, but it's probably a good idea to have those review comments, at least from the county engineering department. So that's a good point.
I mean, we're at final.
Yes.
Engineering, if you have,
Yeah.
since you're here, that's kind of
Yes.
nice.
We have looked at these kind of briefly, not really in depth.
Okay.
We would like to have more time to get a final review proposed for this.
Okay.
But we have not done that yet.
Do you see any major red flags right now? Or are you just on the biggest tour that you tell?
Not major red flags, but just things to work out, such as, you know, the some of the details and some of the drawings and yeah, I don't think there's any hurdles that we can't work through.
Okay.
We just haven't been able to compile that review.
Thanks. And it looks like, is this the easement for the drainage that they're showing here?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
All right. Is one of you guys Rob by chance?
It's me.
Rob, do you have any comments?
This is my engineer, so
Okay.
he's a little smarter than I am.
It's just barely. We are confident that if we get comments from the hearing, we can get to those.
Okay.
Our preference would be to approve the plat, and then we will go with the next. Will give us time to resolve the questions. The hearing has, which don't they already have.
It kind of puts me in a precarious situation because typically at preliminary, I'm totally fine conditioning it. But when we get right to final, that's where, you know, it's like final. And I'm a little nervous too, because I'm seeing quite a few conditions on here. From the fire district, was there any major comments from them?
They were actually looking to gather more information, so their review didn't really go into in depth with exactly what they were looking for. They just wanted to speak with
Okay.
This question is about firewall.
Oh, okay.
And
Make sure we connect.
and the reason that we would like to plat it, since it is a private road, is we have a road maintenance agreement in place for each one of those lots that will be filed on each lot.
Okay.
So the road maintenance agreement protects all of us. It protects the county,
Yeah.
protects the developer and the lot, you know, the owners of anybody that buys a lot. So that if they buy a lot, it's like, well, this is the road maintenance agreement that you signed on to that's attached to your plat.
Yeah.
So that it's not, you know what I mean? That's why we're confident we can figure anything out that we need to do with engineering. You know, we've been working with them. We've been working on this for months, you know, just going back and forth to try to make it work for everybody. And I think we're pretty close, you know, we've shortened the road up and done the things that they've recommended. So we're just anxious to
Okay.
get the plat approved so that we can still keep moving forward. And, you know, the road maintenance agreement, we've sent it to Felix. Felix has sent it to the county attorney. He's looked it over, thought it looked good.
Well, probably this is a question for you, Ashley. Do you feel comfortable putting your approval as a condition on final? It's just odd. It's not something
Yeah.
we typically do.
I agree. I mean, if you're asking me, I'd maybe suggest we table it until, you know, I think if we have another week, I don't know what the schedule for having these meetings is, but
We can,
I think if we
I'll
had it for
schedule.
another week, I think we could
Okay.
get all our review comments together.
Okay. Well, that's what, can you survive a week?
Yeah, I mean, a week's I mean, the problem is we want to plat it. We
Yeah.
have them sold. We're under contract to have them sold. And you guys know what the commercial market's doing right
Yeah.
now. Like, we want to sell them.
Yeah,
And if we don't sell them, it doesn't help anybody in this room. It doesn't help
For
me,
sure.
because that means I don't move forward on anything else. And it doesn't help the county for revenue. So, yeah, I'm supposed to have a closing deadline by the 27th on lot 3. And lot 2 is the same, and we keep pushing them out, but you push this stuff out very far and pretty soon people are like, you know what? We don't think we want to go out there.
Yeah.
Somewhere else.
Right.
yeah.
And so we've had them under contract since February, so we've been trying to push along, doing the road maintenance agreement. I agree that there's probably things that engineering might want us to fine tune with our road stuff, but no permits are gonna be issued out there for industrial use or building until the road, until they're happy with how we're gonna do it. So that's why I feel like, let's go ahead and plat it.
Yeah,
Have it done, and we just work with engineering, because you guys, you'll come up with something, then we'll need to talk to Gary. And then 1 week
Yeah.
turns into 3,
Well,
and you know what I'm saying?
so I guess this, you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but if he gives final approval, there's still these conditions. So it's not like you plat it, everybody signs the plat, and then we work out the conditions.
yeah,
So it's kind of a
it won't be able.
formality if it's approved here today, because there's still these conditions we've got to work through, so. But it is, like Rick's saying, when you have a final approval, the less conditions you can have at that point,
Right.
kind of the better you feel about, okay, let's move forward with the Mylar or whatever, so. But I mean, right now, to be honest, the temperatures are better for flooding, so we're able to be in the office more, and I want to get this wrapped up this week, right? And so then by Friday, we could reschedule your next review meeting and get you moving forward.
When you say Friday, that's the day after tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is that the Friday, or there's another one
So-
in 8 more days, right?
Yeah.
They seem to come around.
Every week we get one of those.
No, I mean, that is a valid point, but like June can probably attest, I've spent 7 more hours in the office today than I have for the last 2 weeks, so.
Very true.
Yeah.
It's been a challenge, but that's on me, and I apologize.
I
But
keep seeing stories on the news about how much work you guys are going through to help keep people from flooding.
there's some of that going on.
I can attest. to that.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah,
It's
so yeah,
wet
no,
dirty.
I agree. I don't want this to drag on out, but I feel good the way the weather is right now, and it's giving us a bit of a relief to.
For 5 more days till.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and the other thing that we have to remember is we gave Janison final approval, and he's supposed to be part of this road maintenance agreement. So you gave him final approval to plat and everything else.
Mhm.
I don't care what he does either way. I want to get mine done. So I want to just, whatever we need to do to work it out and get it done, even though Janison's gonna end up sharing that road. And I know that Janison is needing permits for doing industrial site stuff out there. He's not building right now, but he's gonna use it as an industrial site.
Yeah,
And he needs a permit, and until we have this done, I don't see how permits can be issued, you know what I'm saying? So I know he's gonna be under the gun. Iris has been after him. He has till the 4th of May to respond.
so we can't record it until they've satisfied all your conditions, and you'll have a review hopefully on Friday.
Correct.
So I just, because the ordinance that I don't like to get in a practice of approving something without that, so we're gonna have a special meeting. If everything goes well on your part on Friday, let's try to set something up on Monday or Tuesday for a special administrative review meeting so we can hear this.
yeah, I appreciate
And
that.
then that way, we're accommodating your needs and we're still accommodating engineering's needs. Because I just don't like to set precedents on this. Because it's a very important, obviously, thing, and I think we could condition it, but the commission doesn't like us to get in the process of conditioning things, and I get it.
Yeah, I think if it's in a timely manner, then let's just work through the things that Ashley might have and
Okay,
let's
let's
just get, we feel like we're all getting pretty close. We went through the plans like 10 times. It's cost me an extra 20
Yeah.
grand.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
let's do that. And then, Felix, if you'll just work closely with engineering and with Rob
Mhm.
and just making sure that we get this scheduled, and I'll make my calendar available on the 24th or the 25th. So that we can try to accommodate your 27th closing.
Yeah, I just,
If everything, and
I just hate to keep pushing them on because and they're local companies, like they're companies that
that's
are already
stellar.
here. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
you know, they just want,
Yeah.
want to spend some money.
Oh.
And I don't want them to go somewhere else.
I'm all for that.
Especially we need buildings to start out there. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm like the only one trying to do anything and it's hard because it costs so much money to do anything.
Right.
And then to try to find a buyer now
Yeah.
it's getting tough.
Yep. Totally get it. Why don't you continue? Felix has given you a punch list of conditions, so, work on those in the meantime behind the scenes with the fire district and the other conditions, and just make sure everything's all buttoned up. And so June, I'm gonna recommend to table this item, and I'm gonna do it to a time certain date of the 24th or 25th.
Okay.
Depending on what happens with engineering. So,
And
so
really
it's-
Tuesday might be best because if he does a review Friday, gives us a full day to,
Mhm.
I mean, what do you think?
How come he got months and months to do his review and I get one day to address the drawings?
Hey.
That's how governments work.
Sounds great.
Well, you don't have to go clear ditches either, so.
Well, why don't we just table this
Let's do
to a time certain date of the 25th? And I'm just looking at my schedule here.
There's,
We got planning commission meeting.
4:30.
4:30, and we'll need to get ready for that. We got the short-term rental meeting at 3. So why don't we set it to 2:00 on the 25th? And June, would you mind sending me an invite, and I'll just put it in my calendar right now. And that's tentative, depending on what comes back from engineering. So, and I'm not trying to put pressure on you either, Ashley, because I know you got so many other things flooding in that's so much more important to get this. Not that this is not important, but
Get this going, so. It's good, glad we have a breather,
yeah.
Verbal comes back. Sandbags.
Nothing can come back. I mean, as you said, that out loud.
Okay, we're gonna move on to our next item. Thank you, gentlemen. Which is consideration and action for a conditional use permit amendment to make minor adjustments to the approved landscape plan. Lilac Estates PRUD, which is located at 2900 South, 3500 West in Ogden. And Mr. Lleverino, you're going to be presenting that one.
Yes, thank you. And thanks for coming, Jennifer Tucker. And so, yeah, what this is a request for a minor revision to a landscape plan. So this was approved with the conditional use permit back in 2021. And since then, the Lilac Estates subdivision plat was recorded. And now they're actually getting ready. They're installing improvements. They're going full steam ahead. And we've actually got building permits for these townhome units. And so what they did is they pinpointed some areas of the approved landscape plan that they'd like to modify. And these modifications are largely driven by the attempt to conserve water and reduce some of the maintenance costs involved in upkeeping some of the turf grass and the trees in the common area. And so that's primarily where they're making these changes, is to the common area of the Lilac Estates development. And so looking over kind of what they've proposed is they've proposed to use a mix of rocks in the detention basin area. And they're removing some trees from the retention basin area. And they're also going to, some of the spaces between the units will be modified to, you're gonna have a little bit more turf grass in between the units. And you're gonna have, it looks like they also made some changes to the common area amenities, particularly what almost looks like a little gathering area. They're planning to do their new plan is showing a basketball court and a little top spot and a pavilion. But you can also see as you enter through each of these units, the original plan included some trees and shrubs with some almost like a wood mulch. And I think they're trying to go away from the wood mulch areas, and they're going to a 3/4 inch gray rock in some of those areas between the units. Yeah, just looking over these plans, these modifications didn't reduce the amount of landscaping. What it does is just kind of change the type of landscaping. So they're still able to satisfy that minimum landscaping requirements that we have in place. And they still have the appropriate amenities that are part of this development. And that's important because they were actually granted some bonus density when they came in with this development. So that's something that I checked pretty closely. Let's see here. Oh, and as far as review comments go, changes to the ground covering within the retention basin and common area are approved by the county engineering department, with the recommendation that a weed barrier is used. And the weed barrier is part of their modified plans.
Okay.
So they've anticipated that and they've taken care of that one. So with that, the planning staff recommends approval of the Lilac Estates landscape plan amendment with those two conditions in the report.
Okay. And is the applicant, are you representing the applicant?
I am.
Okay. Do you have any concerns?
No, we're just hoping to make these changes for various reasons, for maintenance, for, conserving water. Also, there were some concerns about how many trees were going in by the canal and the types of trees. We work with landscapers to pick different trees so they won't penetrate the canal, the roots. And so I think overall, it's just a better plan.
Okay.
And a better use of resources. It's not a cost-efficient plan. Rock isn't cheap, but he's willing to do that for long-term benefits.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have a problem decreasing the trees. Looks like we're going from about 24 down to 16, which is not an issue in my mind. Probably the one thing I would like to maybe make a note in the approval is I noticed when it says weed barrier, I think we need to have an industrial strength weed barrier so that it keeps the rocks from the mud as long as possible. So I'm going to recommend approval of this subject to all areas with ground covering such as mulch, rock, and landscape gravel are underlined with an industrial strength weed barrier cloth. And number 2, conditions from the original conditional use permit shall remain in place. And I recommend approval of this subject to those conditions and the findings outlined in the staff report. Well, I'm glad we can get that one going. Okay, all right. Well, this meeting stands adjourned and We will see you gentlemen on Tuesday.
Thank you.
2:00. Thank you. You betcha. Thanks,
You
Ashley.
got a minute to-
Yeah. Yeah, sure. I think I do. Let's see what happens when I open the door.